Awesome. We are here with Jordan Wolf. Jordan, thanks for joining us. Where are you logging in from?
I appreciate you having me. I'm logging in from Durham, North Carolina.
Beautiful. Durham, North Carolina, where you are just a recent, graduate. I guess graduation, we were just talking about graduation might not be happening or is not happening, but
No graduation.
business school, right? You just wrapped up business school?
Just graduated Duke's Business School with my MBA. So it's been a fun 2 years. I can't believe it's over. I'm sad to leave.
Yeah. When you just said that you finished up, I remember feels like it was yesterday when we were doing Breakfast Club stuff and you were like, yeah,
No.
I think I'm actually going to go to Duke. And I was like, I can't believe that was more than 2 years ago and you're done now.
I actually have my Mitch Fitness hat in my room right now.
I can't believe you're not wearing it. A little disappointed.
Jersey. I'll get better. Yeah.
I break mine out quite a bit, and no one knows what.
It's a great hat. Fits well.
Isn't that your name? I'm like, yeah, that is my name. Awesome, man. Well, so what's been going on during quarantine? Obviously, you wrapped up school. It sounds like you were just pumping iron in the Danowski family dungeon. What's been going on over the last couple weeks?
Yeah, so I'm not someone who likes to sit still, especially when it's 70 and sunny in Durham most days. So it's a big combination of, like you said, me, Matt Danowski, and Ned Crotty, we built kind of a makeshift gym at Matt's dad, Coach Danowski's house. Put a bunch of weights in his garage, things like that. We put a goal in his backyard. So have a pretty unique setup there. So I'll spend a couple hours there. I have a 2-year-old Vizsla dog.
Team crew right there.
Yeah, it's a good quarantine crew. I think we're all
defensemen. Who comes in and plays defense?
No defense. So one of the kids on the team asked me to do one-on-ones, and I'm not doing that. So,
Respect.
So I do that. I have a dog who needs a lot of energy, who needs a lot of exercise. Excuse me. And then I have my girlfriend has a Peloton. Been riding that a little bit. So trying to stay busy, trying to stay sane, is just like everyone else.
You ever see anyone from lacrosse community on the Peloton classes that you know, or do you schedule that so you know people on those?
So both Danowskis are on it. Big Coach Danowski and Matt are on it. I saw Jack Muir the other day. He was, giving me crap about my stats. My Duke friends are on it, and everyone can follow each other and just give each other shit about their stats. Apparently, my stats are awful. I've been trying to keep up with what they're telling me to do, but I guess it's not good enough. So.
You have to make the stats public. You can't hide those.
Well, I guess I really should. Cause every time I finish a class, I have 6 people texting me that was awful. Not fun.
Nothing like some positive reinforcement to keep you going.
I know. We'll have to go private pretty soon.
Well, nice, man. Well, kind of what a last couple years you've had with you got the USA shirt on, winning the gold medal with Team USA. You had tried out in 2014, correct?
No, I didn't actually. I was invited to. It was my senior year of college, and
because I was trying to think back why you weren't on that team because you were crushing that year.
I thought it was a 1 weekend tryout, and you make it or you don't. I didn't know it was this big long process, and going into my senior year, I just wanted to put everything into that, and I didn't want even just a little bit of my mental or physical capacity going towards something else. So I decided not to actually, and I think it proved to be the right decision. But it definitely put a lot of not pressure, but a lot of emphasis on trying to make the team in 2018.
Yeah, and that experience in Israel, talk a little bit about that. I mean, that was. Had you ever been over to Israel before?
No, and it was kind of surreal thinking that you were get to go to Israel, go to the Middle East to play a lacrosse tournament. It was pretty wild. I think it was special for 2 reasons. One, obviously wearing USA across your chest, as cliche as it sounds, it's just different, as you know, Mitch. It's just a different feeling. And then I think 2, just the group of guys on the team, it's a unique experience with guys who come in with different backgrounds, different agendas, and who have a very short amount of time to come together. And it was cool seeing so many big names in the sport just being excited to be one of the guys on the team. That was something I'll always take away. And obviously playing for Coach Danowski, who has been, besides my dad, the most influential guy in my life, being able to play for him one more time, being able to play with Matt, who coached me at Duke, being able to play with Ned, who, I looked up to growing up when I was, going through the recruiting ranks. It was just surreal to me for all those different reasons. And obviously, getting to win the whole thing was special and, something I'll never forget. It was probably, the highest lacrosse achievement of my career. And like I said, it was just special for a lot of different reasons.
Yeah, it looked like a ton of fun and a great group to do that with. So you are you were actually coaching with the Danowskis and with Ned at Duke, right? When you were at business school.
No, I definitely not. Yeah,
No.
they got all the X's and O's figured out over there. They definitely don't need me. I was around a lot just because I'm so close to the coaching staff and Matt and Ed. So I would always go in the business school is so close to the lacrosse facilities. So I would always go in and annoy Coach Caputo and annoy Matt, and then obviously get to work out in their facility, which was cool. But I didn't do anything formal with the team. Like I said, I don't bring much to the coaching side or the X's and O's side. They got it all figured out there. But I was there if they needed anything for camps or recruiting stuff. So trying to make myself available. I feel like I'm in, I was opened up to Duke by Coach Danowski. I don't know if I would have gotten in there without lacrosse in the beginning. So I definitely owe him a lot for that.
Yeah. So I mean, you were coming out of high school. You were highly regarded. Obviously, a Philly Player of the Year in 2010. Setting points records and single season records at Lower Merion. What was your process like? I'm assuming you more or less had the pick of the litter in terms of like deciding where you wanted to go. You could pick from the top schools. What was your process like, and how did that unfold? Because were you still before early recruiting, or was that like your sophomore, junior year that you were starting to get?
Yeah, I was. It was really beginning of junior year. I didn't come from a big lacrosse powerhouse school. Lower Merion was actually good in the '90s and kind of tapered off because there's so many private schools around Lower Merion. Being a public school kind of takes away a lot of the talent. The Haverford schools, the Episcopals, Malvern, etc. So it wasn't like there was other guys I could like turn to from past years. I could be like, hey, what was this process like? So a lot of it was summer lacrosse, playing for the Duke's Lacrosse Club. So I got a lot of interest from schools. Beginning of my junior year, I wanted to go to Duke since the beginning. Since middle school. I have no affiliation to the school, no family in North Carolina. I felt like there was something really different about the school from an early age. I loved watching Matt Danowski and Ned growing up. I just felt like they did things differently, and obviously the academic experience was second to none. So once I started getting letters from Duke, I knew I was going there, whether they were going to offer me or not. I was going to make them. I didn't love recruiting trips. I was a late bloomer, so hanging out with a bunch of college guys when you're 5'2" with braces, like it was just I didn't enjoy the experience at all. So I definitely visited some schools, and when I visited Duke, it affirmed everything for me, from the coaching staff to the place, academically. And I remember hearing the story about Max Quinzani, where he said, when the scandal happened in 2006, Max was this big, lacrosse recruit, and he had the opportunity to get out of his commitment to go somewhere else, given that there was a lot of uncertainty if he would ever play lacrosse at Duke, with everything going on. And he stayed. He went to Duke, the honors commitment, without knowing that there might even be a season his freshman year or beyond. And that struck me very, that resonated with me. And I said, if he loves this place that much, he's this big recruit, this is the right place for me. And it was in a team meeting with a bunch of recruits that weekend, and I knew from there I was definitely going to Duke.
But so now Quinzo's how much older than you? 2 years?
So I never played with him. So he graduated the year I came in.
He's not much older. Oh, so he's kind of like between me and you then, I guess.
Yeah. But I love Max. He's the best. He probably doesn't know that story, but it was powerful for me to hear that.
It's awesome. He scored that. I don't know if you remember. He scored that game-winning goal in the semifinals. We watched that a few weeks ago in one of the episodes with Brian Sparrow. But that goal, like 1.2 seconds left, it's still. And then my favorite Max Quinzani story. We'll give Max a little shout out. There's this bar that we would go to after every game in Johnny's on the Side. Have you been there in Boston? Yeah. There's like a little bit of an elevated stage, and that was like we would kind of take over that dance floor. And it was after a game, and he did like a laid out backflip off of this like 6-inch lip, and everyone's like going crazy. And then the bouncers grabbed him and threw him out. And luckily, the guy Johnny who owns it is the man. And so we're like, come on, you got to let him back in. He was just having fun, and so he got back in. The place went nuts. So that's
everything Max does, he does well.
Exactly.
Work, lacrosse, he just is full speed. So he's the best.
Yeah, I ran into him at the Ivy League playoffs up in Columbia, actually two playoffs ago.
Yeah.
He's got a little girl now, maybe two. I think he just got his first.
On the way. He's got one. Yeah.
Sounds about right timing wise. So you get to Duke. You're so happy to be at your dream school, and then you take a picture like this. Why are you so mad?
I don't know if it was a bad Well, first of all, the bad haircut. I've always had bad haircuts. So
That's not a bad. I feel like that's nice. You're shaped up, but maybe that makes you look more mean and angry.
Yeah, that's perfect. I don't know if it was an early morning or what. I was always taught at a very young age to never smile at pictures, like roster pictures. I don't know if it's from Philadelphia or what, or I was just, had little man syndrome and was trying to be tougher on TV, but I never smile at roster pictures usually. And I think I did once in a Rattlers picture. I looked awful. Like I was just like a goober, but I think it was just me trying to act tougher than I really am. So.
Well, I love it. So let's dive into some video here. I've got 2012 highlights, which I got to say, these uniforms could be top 5 worst of Duke's time. I think what you wearing, like the original Warrior helmet in this.
Yeah.
There's some unique looks here, but lacrosse. So 2012 was your sophomore, 12, 13 sophomore year, right? And you started. I mean, you pretty much started every game since you got to Duke.
I think this is my freshman year actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
And did you start at attack from your first year on?
No, so I was a midfielder my first 2 games. We played Notre Dame in Jacksonville, and then we played Penn in Philly. And I was a midfielder on the second line, and I was awful. Like I was just a really bad midfielder. I've never played anything but attack, and trying to learn defense and subbing. Like the jump from high school midfielder to college midfielder is the biggest jump. And for me, never playing midfield, I was just really bad. Like I remember practices where I went out back with the defense. They're trying to teach me slide packages and stuff, and I was like, I don't have a clue. And we were 0-2. Things were not going well. We didn't have a lot of mojo, and then they switched me to attack against Maryland for the first time, and then I played attack ever since.
And you never had played, like, growing up. You had never played midfield. Yeah, that's a tough jump to make.
I don't. Yeah, I think they were like thinking that I'd be like a Steve Schofield type. Small kind of initiator from the wings and stuff. I was convinced I was going to be Ned Karate and be their, quarterback of the offense. I don't think they saw that right away, but I definitely did. But yeah, I was switched. Me and Christian Walsh, who was my year, were switched to attack. I think when we played Maryland was the first time, and then we played attack since then.
And that was, the right fit, I'd say. Probably good coaching by Coach Janowski there.
Good coaching, yeah.
So this is a look back. So talk about, when you got to Duke, was it everything that you envisioned, expected, the group of guys that you came in with? Who'd you come in with in your graduating class? Who were some of the other guys that people might know?
Yeah, so we had a really unique class. It was me, Josh Dion, who started starting sophomore year at attack with me. Christian Walsh, who was an All-American. Chris Hips, Henry Lobb.
Texas kid, right?
Texas kid, yeah, he was my roommate. So we had some monsters at defense. Hips was 6'4", Lobb was 6'4", Dupree was 6'7". He's the meanest guy you'll know. Who else? Brendan Fowler, obviously, who was, he came here for football. I actually saw him freshman year at a party and said you should walk on for lacrosse. I think Coach Dowsey tried talking to you, but you definitely should. And he came out and turned out to be, our most valuable player. So
you knew him growing up, or how did you guys know each other?
I just saw him at recruiting events. I remember I saw my blue chip because there were so many Chaminade guys. It was like him, Mike Earhart. I forget his name when he went to Georgetown. Like there's like always this crew of Chaminade kids, and if you know Brendan Fowler, he's gonna stick out. Yeah. He's a talker. So I remember seeing him then and being like, freshman year in a pregame, being like, you should definitely try out for the team. So we had a really unique class because a lot of us played a lot of minutes early on, which was like not the norm before that. Obviously with Ned being a fifth year in that fifth year class, it was like kind of hard for freshmen to like make a big impact. And our class came in at the perfect time to, play early on, which obviously was helpful for us towards the end of our career where we started obviously having more success. And I think what was unique about our class too was everyone's main objective was to win national championships. Like there was no guy who's like, everyone cared about school and what we're doing after, but that was almost secondary, to be totally honest. Like it was a bunch of guys who came in, made a pact and said, we're going to do everything we can to win games, win national championships. And we were a bunch of lacrosse guys. And I think at Duke, maybe previously there was always few guys who were, looking to really pursue, jobs outside, and that was like their main interest. And again, we cared about that as well, but we were just very unique where it was lacrosse first, no matter what, which I think obviously helped us throughout our career with all the experience that we're going to gain.
Yeah, and so you won 2 championships, right? You won 14, and then did you also win it? Was it 10? Was it your freshman or 11 in your freshman year?
13. So my junior and senior year, we won.
All right, not bad way to finish things out. This right here, this looks like Klockner. So first, this is just like the most classic Jordan Wolf goal I've ever seen. Just getting your hands lifted, powering through with the shot. It's like that is there's 2 or 3 clips of the of you just working me with that same move, and every time you're like, oh, I'm in a good spot. I'm on his hands, but your ability to power through. But look at the crowd at Klockner there. What a day, huh?
Yeah, those are always fun games. There's always up and down, and Klockner, they love their lacrosse there. It's such a cool field to play at, and we've had a lot of success against Virginia over my 4 years. So those are always fun games to play.
And this is the Konica Minolta, so you get to play. This is at MetLife Stadium, right? That must have been did you do that multiple years? Because I know they did it a couple of years on and off.
I think it was my first 2 years. Yeah, the first year I got to play against Galloway. 2 goals against him. I'll never forget it. Playing against, guys like Joel White and John Lake covered me. So those were I remember freshman year at Giant Stadium playing against guys I grew up watching was pretty surreal. Even though they killed us my freshman year. So got a little payback my sophomore year.
And then let's go to senior year, because senior year, so junior year, you guys, and both of those years. So first of all, I got to ask, what's your first Duke lacrosse memory as a kid? Do you have one?
My first Duke lacrosse memory, I was kind of not a normal lax rat. I didn't start watching until maybe I started getting more and more, maybe 8th grade. I was watching games on TV, 9th grade. I didn't grow up watching as a young kid. But I do remember Matt Danowski, and we're a completely different player. So it wasn't I connected with how he played versus how I played. Even though, looking back, I realized that. But I'm sure even at the time I was I'm not a stretch shooter. I'm not things like that. But I just love the way he competed. It just seemed like he was so fired up all the time and was yelling at teammates to do certain things. And actually, I love that. And then I remember his baggy shorts, and I used to wear a lot of baggy shorts growing up. So I was just I think I was just, sold on Duke and how he played. And then, obviously when Ned Crotty got there and started taking over the reins, the way he played, his vision, it just seemed like people around him loved him. So I was hooked on those 2 guys growing up, and now they're 2 of my, closer friends, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, I was really just, fingers crossed. I was trying to think back the timing. 2007 was my senior year. We lost to Duke in the Final Four in Maryland. I was trying to think. You were probably, that was 2007. You graduated in 14, so you were probably.
I sort of remember that game. I just remember Terrence Molinari scoring because he was my 5th year senior, and I think he was a freshman at the time. So I think I saw that highlight later.
Yeah,
I do remember highlights of that game a little bit.
Yeah, so I've always had a cold hatred for Duke in my life. And it's funny, you have these in college, you have these ideas of what people are like who go to certain schools and what the school's culture is like. And then if you get lucky enough to get to know some guys, and especially playing pro, you get to know so many guys that went to these different schools. It's so funny, I think, how your perspective changes on what you thought a Duke guy was like. Or Cuse is probably the one that I've been the most these guys are nothing like what I expected and thought they were when I was at school. Have you had that with any programs or schools?
Yeah, I think you definitely get a feel, especially when you get, like you said, when you play professional and you get to know guys from different cultures. You have your opinions beforehand, you think you are, and sometimes those prove to be correct.
Yeah. Then there's the other side. Yeah, the correct.
The other side, it's so funny with Syracuse guys, because playing for the Rattlers, we have a lot of Cuse guys. It's I have guys who are so well put together, so well spoken, have every, so mature, and there's guys who are nuts. And it's so cool to see a program like that having the juxtaposition of both types of personalities. And I feel like Duke guys, have their own kind of shtick too. And it's kind of cool to see throughout the years how it doesn't really change much. Everyone's kind of has a similar personality. I guess they get molded by being here for 4 years. But from I played with Justin Gutterding, who was 4 years, I never got to play with him, and all the way up to Matt Danowski. And it just seems like a very similar type of, cut from the same type of cloth. And that's kind of cool to see as the culture, and as I'm getting older, as the culture is kind of preserving.
Yeah, well, I mean that brings up a good point to something that as a Cornell guy, we've had to. It's been a challenge the last 10 or so years is like that consistency of the coaching staff and having that. Like Danowski has been there for so long now, and Matt Danowski has come in, and Ned. So it's like you've got that culture so deeply ingrained that's
Yeah.
really cool. And I was going to say the other group that I feel like is a lot like that is Hopkins. Is like you can pretty much tell a guy is a Hopkins guy like within 5 or 10 minutes of meeting him. And I think a lot of that has to do with 18 years of Petro being there. And
Yeah.
so it's interesting to see how that'll change at different schools when guys move on, and especially for me as Pete Milliman goes down to Hopkins and as Connor Busick steps up at Cornell. It'll be very very curious to see.
I see it with Maryland guys a lot too. Like I think the Maryland has built a really interesting culture there. Being tough and having team first guys and getting to know some of these older Maryland guys and Earhart and the Bernhardts, and they're just I think they're another type of culture that is impressive for sure.
Yeah, so you guys win it junior year, and were you guys? I'm trying to think back to that 13 season. Were you guys like favored and top ranked throughout the year? One of them was like a surprise, not a surprise.
Yeah,
Duke's
this
always
was a surprise. Yeah, so it was we were 2-4 my junior year, the first 6 games. So we were like really not clicking. It was Dave Lawson, who was our senior, Dave, Josh Offit, Trapuka, Billy Connor. So we kind of had like a class that was maybe there's no like, coming in, there were no Tour-Ton favorites or first team All-American favorites. It was just a really strong class of like winners and people who care about each other. And we got we were 2-4, things weren't going well. We got a big win against Loyola, and honestly, we just rolled from there. Our offense got really dynamic and started really understanding how each other played and got really selfless. And, Dave Lawson had a first team All-American year as a midfielder. And I think myself and, Josh Dinan kind of took the next step. Our kind of evolution of attack. My first 2 years was I feel like I plateaued a little bit. I was very, one trick pony type of player. And I think I kind of started filling out the game more, realizing you could score without just having the ball on your stick. And we moved Christian Walsh to midfield, which allowed Case with Eyes to play the attack. So we just rolled ever since then. And it was a team that I think we wanted to win for the seniors so badly that was honestly our secret. Like we just love those guys so much, especially my class. It was we were a year younger than those guys, but our class and their class was one and the same. It seemed like we were so close. So having 2 classes, kind of having that senior desperation was definitely the key to our success. And that was a cool experience winning one. And it obviously, I don't think we would have won my senior year if we didn't win my junior year.
Yeah, and that, I mean, that to me is like, so was Miles a freshman in 2014?
He was a freshman in 2013. He played like, he took, a shift, in the Final Four. Him and Deemer would take 1, maybe 2 shifts a quarter their freshman year, and then they just exploded my senior year completely.
Yeah. So this was kind of their coming out party, and yeah, I mean, you have that target on your back as a national champion. You've tasted victory. How do you keep that? How do you keep that hunger alive? And then also, you brought up an interesting point about like taking that next step. Like, what made you realize that you're like, I need to do different things?
Yeah, I mean, so I guess 2 parts of your question. For me, I think, and this has nothing to do with Coach Danowski or Coach Caputo, because without them, I'd be nowhere, literally, especially from a lacrosse standpoint. But I think when Matt Danowski got there, it was just, we have very similar mental makeups as it comes to lacrosse. Like, we're very, very competitive. We're very hard-headed. And I think he was able to get to me like no other coach. And I think him still playing, made me it's someone that I, looked up to, I think, just like an automatic respect right away. He was just able to get more out of me, like just as far as trying different things, using my left hand, getting to 5-5 more instead of just running straight. And he just kind of completed me not completed me because I'm definitely not complete now, but he definitely just helped me evolve and do different things, be less, it just, for me, I realized I could score goals without just being, the dodging guy. I has to go through 2 people, and it slowed the game down for me. It really did. So I think he was a big part of it. From Lower Merion, I never learned to play with other players. Like every time in high school I scored was me dodging and dunking. Like that was all I did. So it took me a while to understand how to play with other players and how to play with really good players. And that was just a process for me. So that's kind of how I started evolving as a player, and being able to dodge in different places too. And I think my senior year, it's hard to explain. I'm sure you feel the same way. Like when you're a senior, things just completely change. It changes the first day for you. because you realize everything's a last. And I loved Duke lacrosse so much. I had my, I held myself to such a high standard. I held my class such a high standard that, and everyone did that. I don't think to this day, if we didn't win my senior year, I don't think I would be right. Like I put so much into it, and I think once you win one, you realize that it's possible. Like I never won a state championship lacrosse as a high school, playing in high school because we weren't very good, and we won an ACC championship, but we lost at 2 Final Fours my freshman and sophomore year, and it almost got to a point where like didn't seem possible to win the whole thing. Then you win the whole thing, you're like, oh my God, you could actually be the last person at the end of this. And once you taste that once, you realize, like I said, it's doable. And we just put so much into it my senior year. Like I just never was, like I wasn't like sleeping much in May in the tournament because I was just so wired on this goal. And when it was over, I was completely exhausted because you just put so much into it. But like I said, I think if it wasn't for 2013, we would not have won 2014. No way.
Yeah, it's funny you bring up the 5 and 5 because if you watch enough Jordan Wolf highlights, which I've watched a lot in the past couple of days, but that like speed move coming up that to your right hand, that's like your bread and butter, right? And you talk about that, but that post up at 5 and 5, especially on the left side, that's what this video actually leads off with in this Hopkins game, is you get into your left hand maybe after a classic Jordan Wolf feed, but there's one where exactly what you said, like I was like, oh, that's a move that he's not as known for, but having that, like, that's where I felt like you were so difficult to cover because you could feed, but you also could, your full speed run to your strong hand is almost impossible to defend. It was very frustrating to try to cover. But then when you start mixing in that question mark, yeah, that right there, that's the classic Jordan Wolf right there, going to your right hand and beating him with speed. Because even if this guy's not in a bad position, but you're so strong, you're able to push away and get your hands free, and then you put so much on that shot as you whip it around.
Yeah. I think, again, it came from evolving as a player. But, when I was my first couple of years, I would run to my right, and they would push me out, get me wide, and I'd have to do like fadeaway jump shots. And if I went to my left, I could never shoot. I would only fade away to feed. It was like I was the easiest player to game plan for, looking back. And not that I didn't like contact, but I didn't realize, like, I wasn't comfortable with people like all over me because I was like, oh, I don't want to lose the ball, like blah blah blah. So it wasn't like I was shy of contact, but I didn't feel comfortable taking it. And I got to a certain point where I realized, like, the defensemen have long poles, but it's like a boxer with long arms. Like, you just got to get inside of them. And I started trying to, I tried to, to get physical with them rather than them get physical with me. And it changed everything because I realized I could get inside on these people. Their 6-foot poles didn't really matter at that point, and I could, either shoot or step away. And there's a lot of things like secondary dodges I could do off of that move. So trying to, lean in on people and run into them is something that I had to develop. But to this day, I think I'm not maybe as fast as I once was, in my later stages, but I'm still able to be successful because I can still get that half step with my first move and hopefully still strong enough to still run into people and make moves off of that.
When did you shift that like contact piece? Was that in college or was that midway through college? Because I think that's something that you do that's makes it very hard as a defender is you do initiate that contact and you're strong. So when you initiate it and you pop out and get your shot off fast, it's really hard, even if you're in good position, to absorb that contact and get back in your gloves.
Yeah, I think I started my junior year and got better my senior year. Like I said, every time I touch the ball, I want to go and get to the crease and dunk it. But just being able to push your body towards that angle and then having a defenseman have to get, I'm pretty small, like getting so low to get on my hip and be able to bench press me out. Like, even if they do that, I can do secondary moves off of that. So I just got comfortable with contact, really. And, to this day, when I get the goal line extended, it's usually them, the defenseman, trying to get through the crease and meet me at that point. And I just have to win that, point of contact. And that's always been, seems, simple to say, but it took me a while to get comfortable doing that. And I'm still trying to work on things from there.
Yeah, you talk about Matt Danowski really being one of the guiding forces and making that shift of changing your game. Do you feel like he was a little bit tougher on you, or you were just more receptive? You mentioned being hard-headed. Were you just more receptive because he was more of a peer to you?
Yeah, I think both. I mean, he definitely coached me really hard. Like, he's one of the more competitive people I've ever met in my life. So is Coach Danowski. They're both just, huge competitors. But I think it's what you're right. Like, he had came in, especially it was his first year, my junior year. So it was more of a peer-to-peer type relationship. But he coached me really hard. I think he saw a lot of especially from a mental standpoint, himself in me. So he knew like when I was frustrated, when I was annoyed, when I was angry, you know, because in practice I'm really competitive too. So I have had a range of emotions in those 3 hours. But he was able to get to me from a mental standpoint, but also from a lacrosse standpoint. I think it was just instant respect because I knew he still played at a really high level. And to me, he's one of the top 3 best players of all time. So obviously, how could I not listen to what he was telling me? So it was a perfect match, honestly, to have him come in my junior year and help me take that next step.
Yeah, well, it certainly paid off. And here's the kind of capstone on the career. You guys score with like 30 seconds left, right? And get the lead. Now you have the ball. It'll go to it in just a second after this. You have the ball with 27 seconds left. And Fowler was still your faceoff guy at this point?
Yeah, so he was definitely
confident, right? Did Danowski give you the green light to go to the goal here?
Yeah, I think he did. I can't really remember. I just knew, like, it sounds weird, but I knew that play was coming the whole time. Like, I knew Fowler was going to win the ball. Like, Brendan Fowler with the game on the line, the guy's he's everything a winner is. Like, there was no shot in hell he was going to lose. And then, obviously, I was most likely going to go with my right hand. And given that where the timeout was, we're still kind of upfield. So they put Matt Landis on me, but, you know, he was kind of cross-handed. So I knew I was going to my right anyway. I was just happy that I was able to not step in the crease. And it's kind of funny that my last college goal was a left-handed goal. It was a dunk. But, yeah, I think I just wanted to end it without having, leaving up to any chance or any more face-off. I just scored and put us up by 2.
Awesome. And then the MLL comes knocking. 2014, we get the draft. Let's see this beauty here. Got Evan Washburn and Quint talking about all the different draft picks.
Look at that logo.
Number 2. Let's see if we got it queued up here. So they show the Rochester. So this was, I think, yeah, January 10th. So this was like even before your senior season started, right? And so You guys had just won the championship. Were you thinking about the MLL? Had you stayed in touch with, I guess Danowski was playing, right? Matt Danowski was playing. So you kind of knew what was going on.
I didn't think of it one time, not once. Like
2014 Major League Lacrosse Collegiate Draft. The Rochester Rattlers select Jordan Wolf, attack, Duke.
I've never seen this video.
Are on the clock.
Crowd goes wild.
Yeah. Better than anybody. You called so many of their games last year.
But so January 10th, how did you find out about this?
I think we were all together for it. Either at the team hanging out, I don't really know, but I think I saw them texting me, or maybe someone was streaming it and just like, hey, you got drafted. But it really wasn't. To me, college was the ultimate goal, especially at Duke. At this point, I wasn't even sure I was going to play professional lacrosse. I just never thought of it. Either it just never occurred to me or I was too wired in with what I was doing at Duke. But I never thought it like this was, my future, moving forward.
Yeah. When you were thinking about your time coming to a close at Duke, maybe you weren't even seeing past, what's right in front of you, but were you thinking you would go into the corporate world? Had you done internships, or what was your like next step thought process?
I never did internships. I knew that I wanted to go into the corporate world just to prepare myself for when lacrosse did come to an end. But maybe in the back of my mind, I was maybe like, I'll play a year, coming out of college, continue it for a little bit. And then as it kind of got on more and more, I wanted to do both the corporate world and lacrosse. And a lot of people told me that was impossible to play at a high level in lacrosse and do things, during the week. And that didn't really sit well with me. So I just, can't believe it was 4 or 5 years, I was able to, work in New York City and play, lacrosse at a high level. Because to me, if I wasn't able to be one of the best players or, help my team, it wasn't worth it to me. It wasn't worth it to my teammates. So I had to make sure, and especially because of the Rattlers, I cared about everyone so much. We have a pretty close team. Like I had to make sure I was still, producing.
Yeah. And I know, I've gotten to know a lot of you guys on this Rattlers team. Here's you dicing me up for a goal right here in the camo unis. But it seems like, look at that. Just great defensive positioning, but just too strong. I was getting old at that point. But talk about that team, and do you think that extended your career? Like, would you have continued playing, you think, if it hadn't been for being on the Rattlers?
Yeah, 1,000%. I can't say that enough. My career was completely extended because I was on the Rochester Rattlers. And I think early on, Dave Lawson's one of my best friends from college, best friend to this day, and he was on the team. So I knew I had a buddy there, going in, and he kept telling me what a special group this is. And if it wasn't for guys like, Jordan McIntosh and Joel White, Galloway, Mike Manley, who I got so close with on a personal level, even early on my rookie year, and to this day, some of my best friends, that I think just they were the motivation to keep myself in shape and still play at a high level. And, I still feel like one of the younger guys, even at 28, I'm still trying to win Galloway a professional championship and win Mac a professional championship. And that's always been the drive for me, even though I'm kind of a veteran these days, which is crazy to think. But if it wasn't for that team, and especially now, like if I wasn't with this core group of people, I couldn't do it. This is my group. And we're still trying to take that next step and win a professional championship because we haven't been able to get over that hump in past years.
Which is kind of cool that, you've gone, you've basically gone from this Rochester core to continuing this Rochester core within the PLL with the Chrome. And that's largely, I'd say, Sudan, right? Has kind of been the glue that's held you guys all together.
Yeah. I mean, Sudo is obviously I have a special relationship with him because he drafted me. So I love him for that. But Sudo, the best thing that's, first of all, he's, takes our personality really well. Like we love him. Even when he wasn't coaching us that 1 year when we were in Dallas, I was still talking to him weekly. Like, I've talked to him every week for the last 5 or 6 years. And as you know, with professional sports, it's hard to build those relationships because you're not with each other every day, especially from a coach-player standpoint. So he's someone that takes an interest in you personally as well as on the field. And what Suda does so well is, and I think it's because he played professional lacrosse, he tries to make it fun. And there's 2 ways to be fun. It's one, you have to enjoy each other. You have to enjoy the players you play with, and you have to win. And he struck a balance with finding guys who buy into that family mentality, who are also talented enough to help you win. And if guys are not bought into that, if guys have, other agendas or don't fit in from the group culturally, even though they're great players, we'll get rid of you quickly because he values that so much. And it's, like I said, it's a unique – professional lacrosse is unique because you're not with each other every day. So if you're not enjoying each other once a week, you're not going to enjoy each other at all. And so, like, that is his secret. And he also takes feedback so well. Like, for example, like he talks to our captains and our leaders on a daily basis about personnel, what's working offensively, what's not defensively. He's not someone who, he has an ego to him about, I want to put in what I want to put in. He realizes that, John Galloway is a Division I head coach. Matt Danowski is a Division I national championship offensive coordinator. Jordan McIntosh playing indoor and outdoor for 10 years. Like, they have a wealth of knowledge too. So he's so receptive to listening to people. So it makes it almost like a partnership with this league, with this team. And that is his secret. And he facilitates everything. And he's definitely the glue.
And then, you make the jump from the MLL to the PLL largely with the same crew, which is so different than most guys that made that, right? It's like, I don't think there's many other groups that had that core that moved over. Maybe save a couple, like the Atlas guys were together on the Lizards. But what, and they tried to keep some colleges together, but what was that experience like in the first year, and talk about that PLL first season?
The PLO was great. I mean, it's definitely much higher quality lacrosse from everything. The league is much higher quality in everything, travel to the day before, to obviously the TV production. So could not be happier about the next step that lacrosse has taken from a professional standpoint. As far as the Chrome, it was, my favorite group of players I ever play with. But from a team standpoint, the most unsuccessful team I've been on in years, dating back to high school probably. I think there was a lot of reasons for that, but we're excited, obviously, to be moving forward with, a fresh start with the new coaching staff. And I think everyone this year has a much more, we didn't know what to expect last year. And I think this year we have much more sense of urgency, especially as guys are getting older, to make sure that this is a really successful year. And obviously being kind of the basement of the league last year, I think has motivated a lot of us. So we're excited for the step forward. I know we have the pieces. We just need a little bit more continuity in the different areas, and we're excited for the future to come.
Yeah, and how do you approach that? Because I think that's a unique perspective that not a lot of guys get when they're at your level. They've played on, national championships, world championships, and then you come in this league and you feel like you've got a great group of guys, but you just can't find success. How do you deal with that week in and week out without pulling your hair out?
It's really hard. I mean, especially for someone like myself who, I'm not, to sound cliche, like I'm not interested in anything else besides winning, especially at this point in my career. Like I'm not really concerned about brand or, highlights or accolades. And I just don't care. Like I want to win. And it's the last thing that I haven't been able to accomplish is a professional championship. And, going in the weekend, trying to stay during the week, working out, staying positive, and then going in the weekend and losing by 10 goals is brutal. Like it's not fun for me at all. Like it's not like it was a cool experience. We don't want to, I'll fly back. No big deal. Like it sits with me poorly for 4 days, and it's the same with everyone. It just stews. So that was really tough. It was really difficult to deal with that, especially it's a long summer. And especially the way we were losing. We were losing, getting to overtime with top teams and going off sides and losing. We were getting penalties for subbing, stupid things that we probably could have controlled a lot better. The way we were losing. So that was really tough. It was a tough pill to swallow. It was a tough summer all around with that standpoint. I've never was used to this type of consistent losing. But again, I think it was an experience like anything else you can take from and learn from and try to do things better the next time.
What most positive thing about it? What was your favorite memory from the summer with the Chrome?
I just love the guys. Like we have such a hilarious shtick. We have such a close locker room. The culture is great. Like I said, I love my teammates. I love same guys from the Rattlers: Joel, Galloway, Manley, Mac, and then Adam Mathanowski, who's one of my best friends, was just amazing. He fit in like you wouldn't believe. Seeing John Rannigan every weekend, like everything, off the field, and obviously on the field we had some success as well. But I wouldn't change this group for anything. Like I know we have all the pieces. We have the highest scoring offense, the most efficient 6-on-6 team offensively. So I think we just need to add a few more pieces offensively, defensively, and we're very close. So that is positive news, I think, for us, and something that we're drawing towards as we're like kind of getting ready for the year.
Awesome. Well, I know everyone is certainly looking forward to getting back to lacrosse as usual once it's safe. And man, no one more so than guys like me and you who lacrosse is more or less our whole lives. But
right.
But we're definitely looking forward to that. And I know you guys must, especially like you said, given the bad taste that was in your mouth, just at least getting it rolling and starting to get
exactly.
again. Well, we got one more episode. We'll dive just into the personal life, just real briefly here. This was so you are a Maverick athlete, correct?
Yeah.
So let's look at the day in the life of.
Oh, come on,
Jordan Wolf. This is somewhat self-serving because I think there's a little Breakfast Club cameo here.
Okay, yeah. I thought you meant self-serving for myself. So.
So how has the adjustment been moving from, this beautiful walk up in New York City to probably having grass and a huge yard in North Carolina?
Yeah, I love New York City. I had an unbelievable experience there. I will never go back. I just, especially living in Durham now, like life is just so easy. You have a car, getting groceries is easy. People are so nice. The weather's amazing. Everything's a lot slower, and it definitely suits me a lot more. I'm actually moving back to Philadelphia, which is not similar to New York, but a city, but I'm going to live right outside just because once you get a taste of, open spaces, it's kind of hard to go back. I did like what was cool about New York and lacrosse is it's really challenging. So you had to be really creative all the time, and it really tested your drive for lacrosse. Like if you want to be a top lacrosse player and live in New York City, you got to get up way earlier than people. You have to, walk on the subway with your stick and balls. Like you need to be so all in. Because if not, it's going to get away from you very quickly, just given the lack of resources that you have there. But now that I've had a taste of Durham life and kind of, like I said, open fields and sunshine, I don't think I can go back.
Is this one of the sessions you led? I don't think I was there for this one when the Jordan Wolf group came.
I definitely didn't lead. If it wasn't Mitch led, I wouldn't be there. So I'd say this: the Breakfast Club session saved my career. I think it saved a lot of people's career. I think it saved Mike Earhart's career. Like obviously him going to the USA, he lost.
I don't know about saved his career.
He lost 15 pounds and was the MVP of the World Games after a year of your workouts. So, and especially for me, it kept me so sharp because you're just not used to those types of movements throughout like the week. You know, you could run, you can hit the treadmill, but if it wasn't for cutting and especially being with other people, it was I still say to this day, it was the savior of me and a lot of other guys. I'm telling you. So this was some of the better memories I had.
Well, I appreciate that, and I'd say, you know, I'm out in the suburbs now, and I'm mostly super proud that I see like Matt McMahon and Earhart still get out there and still do it. And also just like very, very, that's probably what I miss the most is getting to see you guys at least once a week. And that was a great crew that we had. And, you know, it was fun to work hard and then compete later in the weekend.
Yeah, it was the best and worst part of the week for sure.
Yeah, and you and Rannigan, I mean, the big thing was you and Rannigan always set the tone, set the level of high stakes these sprints, right?
Yeah, I like when Rannigan came in the morning after a night out. That was always my favorite. That was always my favorite morning.
Awesome. And then it's funny because your brother, I knew he was a good lacrosse player at Amherst, and I remember he was a player of the year for D3 in 2019, right? Yeah,
he was for, you know, I think I was a first team All-American my senior year. I think he was a 2-time first team All-American. He was Division 3 player of the year his senior year. Lost the national championship, which to this day was like the hardest day of my life. I wanted him to win so bad. It was in Philadelphia. You know, no one really thought Amherst would be there. So his senior year, they lost to Cabrini. So that was really hard. Classic Evan Wolf fashion. He's one of the more mature kids you'll ever meet. He was like, he shook it off very quickly because he's just so level-headed and mature. He's like the opposite of me. But yeah, he was. I don't think anyone in our family saw the success that he would have, and you could argue that he had more success than I did. But he was tremendous. It was so fun, especially his last couple of years when he was having all the success, to be able to watch him and just be a fan for him because he's been at so many of my games and supported me through all this. So I was a huge fan for those years.
And go Mammoths, right? And it's about a 5-year difference between you guys?
Yeah, he is 96, 5 years.
So you never overlapped on any teams, right? Did you coach him? Like, did you guys work that? Like, that's a big enough gap where you might not have really interacted too much lacrosse-wise, right?
Yeah, we never played together, which is kind of sad. We would shoot a ton, though, in the summer. I coached him, his summer league team for the Dukes, like for a couple tournaments before. Me and Billy Connors, who I went to Duke with, who's a local Philly guy, we coached his team one summer. But yeah, we just would shoot a lot. Like I think I started developing a really serious work ethic kind of later in my career, honestly, like more so when I got to college rather than high school. And he was just coming up in the ranks, and like in classic Wolf fashion, he was a very late bloomer. So I think he was like, I'm not growing right away. I need to work on my skills, the way Jordan is right now. And he was able to do that way earlier than me, which is why he has an amazing left hand. His IQ is so much better than mine. We're much different players, but really it was just shooting in the summertime and lifting together as he started doing that stuff. And, lucky for him, he started way earlier than I did with a lot of those things. And it proved to be really successful for him, in his college career.
And you have a third brother, right? A middle brother?
Older brother, yeah.
Older brother. And he's no lacrosse whatsoever, or?
He played in high school, so he played club hockey at Penn State.
Oh, nice. Which is now D1 hockey.
Which is now D1, yeah. So they were like a really competitive club team for his first 2 years. Like he was traveling all over the place. And then when they went D1, he went from like a second or third line center to like a seventh line center. They brought in all these 21-year-old Canadians, and that was kind of the end of the career for him. But he was a big hockey player growing up, and we all played hockey growing up as well.
Well, Mike Lavelle at the last 2014 World Games, and Anthony Kelly is a big. He was like an NHL prospect back when he was playing hockey. We've always talked about getting a squad of all lacrosse guys that played hockey. I was a big hockey player growing up, but getting a squad together and going up and playing in the Placid Hockey Tournament
that would be amazing.
So I think this, now that we got some young blood, we just got to find a goalie. I don't know if you know who any hockey goalies.
So I actually played for the business school's hockey team here in Durham. So we played every Friday, and then once a year you play Carolina's business school hockey team. It was like, place was packed. It was one of the cooler things ever because like I hadn't played a competitive hockey game since high school, But Josh Dion, who I played attack with at Duke, was a really highly recruited hockey goalie in high school. Played A-line. He backed up Johnny Quick, who's on the Kings right now.
Yeah. Well, all right, our roster's complete then. We've got our hockey lacrosse playing roster. Awesome. Well, Jordan, we'll finish up. We always finish up with some kind of quick hit questions. So, favorite place of your entire career to play lacrosse?
Koskinen.
Koskinen. Good answer. Good political answer there. Most influential person in your lacrosse career?
John Danowski.
Favorite teammate you've had across the entire spectrum of your career?
Favorite teammate. I would go Brendan Fowler. He's always positive. He's always excited. And he's just a winner. So I would say he's probably one of my favorite teammates, especially in college.
Do you have a most embarrassing lacrosse memory that comes to mind?
So I'm gonna put my headphones on real quick. My girlfriend's on a call.
No problem. You can't really hear that much.
Okay, cool. My most embarrassing
was my freshman year. I
think your headphone's connected. I think your headphone's connected.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
All right, cool. So my freshman year, I was scootering. My roommate Chris Hips had a scooter. At Duke, there's two campuses. So the freshman year campus, East Campus, is like 2 miles away. So we were up at 6 a.m. getting ready for a 7 a.m. run and lift, and we were scootering to practice, and I wasn't wearing a helmet. So we got stopped by the cops, and we got like a ticket, and we were like 30 minutes late to our run. So it was my freshman year, so I'm terrified, and it wasn't Chris's fault; it was all my fault. So I went up to Coach Nowski and I said, "Hey, Coach, I was late today because we got pulled over scootering to the locker room. I wasn't wearing a helmet. It's all my fault." And then he goes, "Yeah." And Coach Nowski, in typical Coach Nowski fashion, was like, "Oh, no worries, but go get your helmet downstairs in the locker room." So I had to go get my lacrosse helmet and run sprints with the team in a lacrosse helmet. And then I had to go lift with a lacrosse helmet on. So I was squatting with a lacrosse helmet on.
Incredible.
That was my most embarrassing lacrosse memory.
The most Danowski thing I've ever heard, and awesome.
The way he disciplines people is truly amazing. There's nothing like it.
How about all-time best lacrosse memory? If you had to just pick one that you could say forever.
I would say the national championship my senior year. It was the perfect culmination with my special group in my class, special coaching staff. Being able to walk off with your career as a champion was something that I needed. Like I had to have that, or it would have been, I don't know how I would have got on with myself. So it was an amazing feeling all around and one of the best experiences. So I would go with that.
Awesome. What's the best part of Philadelphia? As a tried and true Philly guy, best thing about Philadelphia?
There's so many things. I love Philadelphia. I'm obviously moving back like every other Philadelphia person. We always come back. I just think there's an amazing culture of blue collarness and toughness, and just a mantra of being from Philly that it's so stereotypical, but it's real. And I love Philadelphia sports teams. Obviously, the Eagles are the greatest. So I just think the culture and the people of Philadelphia is something that I always feel connected to and proud to be represent.
Awesome. Who's your favorite lacrosse player to watch?
To watch, I would say in today's games, just younger guys, like watching like Mike Sowers play, who just committed to Duke. The things he's able to do, and when I watch him play now, and I think to myself, I don't think I'm making that play. I don't think I'm able to do the things he does, and cannot wait to watch him, play for Duke next year. So I got to know throughout this process. So he's one of my favorite guys. The younger guys definitely to watch these days. I mean, he's tremendous.
Awesome. And then any kind of closing words for young budding Jordan Wolf out there that's watching this, that's like, I want to wear number 32 or 31. When did you make that switch, actually? Was that after college?
Yeah, I was 32 in high school, and then Rannigan had 31 in college, in pros, so I let him keep it. My biggest advice is to work on your offhand. You don't want to end up like me, with a very average offhand because you're too immature to realize that you're going to need two hands. I was just too stubborn, and I'm still working on it at 28 years old. So that would be my biggest advice for any young lacrosse player, and just to have fun and enjoy time, you know, especially today's day and age, today's day with everything going on, everyone missing being on the field with their friends more than ever. Just something to cherish and make the most of every time you get the opportunity.
Well, two-time NCAA champion, gold medalist. I think if kids end up like you, I think that's an okay place for them to be, as long as.
I hope so.
But if they have two hands and they end up like you, that's even better. Maybe it'll make it a little faster track. Well,
two hands is good.
Well, Jordan, I can't thank you enough for doing this. You know, like I said, I really genuinely miss those days where we got out there and worked out in the mornings, and it was always fun. Getting to see you once a week and competing against you. You're always one of the toughest covers that I always had the pleasure of going against. But I'm really excited for you and your next chapter as you continue. And like you said, it's funny, you kind of caught me at my very tail end of my career, at the beginning of your pro career, and now you're working on the maybe latter half. I wouldn't say
latter half for sure.
Latter half of your pro career. So I'm excited to see kind of who you take under your wing and lead through this next process. And good luck with everything moving forward.
I appreciate it. And like I said, you're someone I've looked up to the way you work, and everyone out there should know how hard Mitch works. And his work ethic has definitely shaped areas of my game, because at his age, when he was killing me in every single sprint, every single workout, it opened my eyes to how hard you really have to work to play at a top level, especially when Mitch is playing indoor and outdoor. So if anyone needs, you know, running drills or conditioning things, he's your guy.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Jordan. Good luck. Good luck with the wrapping up the business school. And do you have a job? Are you have a job ready to go? Or are you going right down to a job in Philly?
Yeah, I'm working at a private equity firm right outside of Philly. Working for a boss who's very supportive of my lacrosse career, so it's the perfect fit for me.
Doesn't get much better than that. Well, stay safe, and thanks again, Jordan.
Appreciate it, Mitch. Thank you.